experience to express that.
Okay, okay. So, do you can you see me
Well,
now? Can you see
I
me
can
now?
see you. I can see
Bingo,
you.
bingo. Yes, I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. This is Tamara Sweeney from lovedominates.com, and I have Roi Chinn from Kansas City, Missouri. He is running for mayor this year, and I wanted him to talk about his campaign. And I also want to connect with you about your experience with CPS and foster care.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Tammy, if I can call you Tammy, for
Nope.
you for okay, Tamara, for having a successful organization. I want to congratulate you on Love Dominates, but and thank you for giving our campaign for mayor some much needed coverage. But I'm not
Yes.
here tonight as a campaigner for mayor. I'm here to talk about something far more bigger than politics. Today, there are millions of women and children and families suffering in silence, and I'm here for them. I'm here for the people.
That's great. Thank you. Expand on that, please.
Well, you asked me for my background. I was in the foster care system. I was born to a Chinese father who came from a communist China where there were no freedoms to be had, who arrived in America in about 1920. Our family settled down in South San Francisco. My father met my mother, who left um, at that point the uh, rumored Jim Crow South. She moved out of Arkansas because Jim Crow was that those kind of laws. The talk of that was coming up into the sort of the Midwest area. So she moved to California, started working for my grandfather, who had a Chinese restaurant there, and one thing led to another, and it was a love affair between two people from two different continents, my father and my mother.
Okay.
Fell in love, and ended up my father ended up marrying my mother and having children. That's why my name is Roi Chinn, because my father married the woman he fathered children by. At that time in America, being when I was born in 1970, wasn't so readily acceptable. And when they divorced, there was a lot of problems. The state wanted to step in. I mean, the state just forced themselves in on our family. Um, I can remember my mom telling me how, they were just constantly asking her how she was going to support these mixed children, and that's a nice way. I'm putting that in a very nice way, because that's
So
not
you
what
have
they said.
avid memories of this. How old were
Yeah.
you?
I was just a little kid, but when you're little, I'm the youngest of a large family, youngest of 10 children, and my mother was married twice. She had three children by my father. Before my father, she was married to a Mexican man, and just growing up, the stories are just orally spoken, and we just kind of rehashed them over and over. But the courts got involved. We were placed in foster home. My mother was a devout Catholic woman. They would not hear about that. Our religious freedoms were swept under the rug. My mother said he has to be, if you're taking my children, he has to be in a family that worships, or has a sort of faith similar to our faith base. They ignored that. My mother wanted certain things to be for me to assimilate, um, and transition smoothly. They didn't care. They threw me in a black foster home, where nothing matched at all. It was horrible. My caseworker was
So how
horrible.
old were you? Do you remember when this happened? Like what
Yes,
age?
I was 7 years old, and you know, my parents would come to see me, and they would say, "Listen, we love you." And I remember hearing that, and I remember the other children who were in foster homes over the years. We knew that. Children know that their parents love them. We're stronger than what parents think. What children who are in these detention centers, juvenile centers, these holding centers and foster homes want to hear is that we are going to get you out. If it doesn't, not today, not tomorrow, not a week from now, maybe not a month from now, maybe not a year from now. But my parents did tell me, we will not rest till we get you out. That's what kept me going. That's the only thing that kept me going. That's the only thing. The hope of that is what keeps all of these kids going. And so I saw a lot of horrible things in the government system. Right now, if you go to the FBI's website, there's a list of things that are abuses toward children. One of those things is a failure to educate. There's so many students, so many kids who are placed in custody, government custody, are not being properly educated. They are not receiving their education, which the trajectory of their life is a life of suffering and turmoil. So I saw that coming from a parochial background. The foundations in my formative years were set very well. And so I was on a trajectory of success in life. However, some of my foster brothers and sisters and children that I saw in the system were not. The foster parents didn't care. The judges didn't care. And the caseworkers and everyone had the same evil line. We're overworked and underpaid. That just became another way of sweeping things under the rug.
That's right.
Right now and in the past, little girls were being raped by the men in these foster homes. They were being raped by it. And back then, it was acceptable for foster parents to say, this little girl is fast. That was a word for girls who were acting adult-like. And
How
this
old
is
were these girls?
these
Young.
girls were, they were young. They were not adults. They were not consenting adults. There's a lot of pregnancies that go on in these government facilities and centers and agencies and foster homes. There's just so much. And right now in America, women have the courage to say, stop sexually abusing me, harassing me, and they're standing up, but there's no voice for these children who are in government custody. But it's okay for the government to have certain entities to abuse children. That has to stop too. And I think if the government's going to do it, if you're going to come in and sign away a parents' rights, then guess what? Then that should go for a judge. That should go for sheriffs and police officers. It should go for social workers and caseworkers. It should be that way across the board for anyone who takes and puts a child in jeopardy, a vulnerable, helpless, defenseless child. So I know of at least 20 girls at the time. They're women now. In my years, I was in foster care for about 7 to 10 years, who were literally raped by the people, the government put them in charge of these children, and by the system. Physically, they were raped and assaulted, but then the system assaulted them and raped them.
This is what really makes me angry is here's our agencies, supposed to be helping us out and helping real victims that need, me growing up, I thought foster care was, these great parents that were taking on unwanted children or other people that couldn't help.
No way. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
It doesn't. It breaks my heart. And this is what drives me absolutely nuts, that these people actually will make false accusations on someone, take their parental rights away, harass that person, gang stalk that family, and take the parental rights away. And now your child, you let go of their children. Like you were one of 10 kids, probably a beautiful family. And
yes, very beautiful family.
Agency destroyed your family.
Yes,
the best thing for the children is to be with their parents. If that parent had a drug, an alcoholic, whatever problem, you
No.
should be able to try to fix that parent first, get help for that parent. But if that parent is bad and can't, then yes, go into care of somebody else. But the number one thing is to always not to break that bond of whether it's the father or the mother, keep that bond, because that's the only one that's going to love that child the most.
That's true. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's something that happens. There are things, everyone's made a mistake. There's not a parent in this world. We are given for almost everything we do in this world, especially when it comes to a business. You're giving some sort of information, be it a driver's license, a business license, a gun license, anything. Here's some information about it. This is what you need to do. But when it comes to parenting, it's not out there. And parents
No
are doing,
book.
yeah, parents are doing the best they can. But, but children are suffering. So they came in, they separated our family. My sisters were placed in other foster homes. Some of them were placed in juvenile centers, just depending on the need and the space and the time of what was going on. And all the things that we had once clung to were stripped away. And every day, and for all your listeners, your children are being broken down. They're being told, and every day, not just me, but in every foster home and every child that I got to see in CPS, they were doing the same thing. They were telling us that our parents didn't love us. They told us everything that was wrong with our parents. If your mother was this, she would have did this. Your dad is nothing or nobody. These are the things that they do to break the spirit of these children. And most kids, they break under that. They change.
Sure, they would. I mean, think about it. You rip the child away from their parent, and then they're dealing with rejection, and they're dealing with all these lies.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeling unloved is the bottom line.
It's imperial alienation. Parents alienate from each other, but the government comes in with all of this power. You've got caseworkers, police officers, judges, everyone basically telling the kid, your mom is a zero, your dad is nothing. So it's an imperial brainwashing effect of alienation. And if these kids don't come from a strong family, it's easy for them to break. And that's why a lot of these kids, they break and they fall. They're not being loved. They're not being invested in. They're being broken down and passed along through the system. And every place they go, money follows. Foster care.
Bingo.
There's when people want to downgrade women who can't afford food, and food is something we all need. But guess what? Food stamps or the food program is extended to all of these centers that they take our kids, juvenile, schools, foster care, all of these areas that government taxpayer dollars are going into and being abused. They're being abused. So I saw this here. I know that Division of Family Services, Child Protective Services, they're evil. They're pure evil. I am not an individual nor a candidate for political office who is lukewarm. These agencies are pure evil, period. There's no other way around it. I'm a straight shooter, and I'm giving it to people straight. They're pure evil. They are anti-mother, anti-father, anti-family, and that's what they do. And the lies are told across the board. The day is Sunday. I think it's kind of apropos in the Christian faith. And I'm Catholic. There's a scripture that says, knowledge of the truth shall set you free. And I'm speaking the truth. I saw it with my own two eyes. Kids who love their mom and dad being told every single day that mom was a junkie or a druggie and dad was an alcoholic. I mean, all sorts of things. And here's the thing. Okay, if mom was an alcoholic, fine. But mom is still a human being. It doesn't mean that mom didn't love her children. Mom can take and go to a program and get her help together. get herself together and break an addiction. Because here's the thing, and I learned this in foster care when I was at 10 years old. Drug addiction and alcohol addiction is a chemical addiction that takes place on a molecular level. Okay, that means that these chemicals, alcohol and drugs, are controlling our loved ones who are adults on a molecular level. So it's not a matter of willpower. Mom wasn't strong enough to break alcohol. Mom couldn't break alcohol without some intervention, and that's something that should have been placed into these so-called programs to help families. But I'll take it a step. I'll take it a step further, because many of my constituents in Kansas City and those who may be watching and viewing come from minority families, be it that they're poor, they're Hispanic, African American, Asian American. These are families that the government targets to break away, and we've seen this. We've seen this in these programs that are supposed to uplift people. They never do. We see it in housing programs where fathers are the enemy and mom can stay there, maybe the kids can stay there, but the family can't stay there. So the government has turned on us, the people. This is not the way the founding fathers set it out to be. This is not the way it was supposed to be. Trust me.
No, children are a commodity now. It's dollar signs. That's all they see. And these people absolutely have no hearts and souls. I mean, I can't imagine. When did you figure this out? I mean, as a child, you're in there as a young child before teen. And
take a kid out.
I mean,
take a kid out.
Family later?
No, Tamara, take a kid out and ask them. The children know it. You know, the children know it. The children understand it, and they know it. And for anyone who's listening today, I want to thank you for standing with us, listening to us today. And I'll ask you to raise your voice for this issue if it matters to you, and support Love Dominates. You could support us by talking to everyone you know in Missouri and Kansas, by Facebook, by text, by phone, and word of mouth. But something needs to change drastically, Tamara, because so many people are suffering in silence right now. There are people suffering in silence.
I want to go and I want to take all the kids out of these programs and actually find their parents and bring them back home. That is like one of my goals. I can't tell you how much it gets under my skin. I mean, my own personal story, going through the system with divorce has been horrific. I understand the parental alienation side. I understand the brainwashing. I ended up stumbling into the CPS, and we call it child predator services, because it's really, I mean, you said it alone. You watched all the children being raped from government officials, you know. But here's the thing: these foster care parents, they become parents because they want the money, and they do like a 60-day certified class, but no background check.
No background. Here's another thing.
Here's another pedophiles.
Yes, and here's another thing is that the guardian ad litems.
Oh, they're the worst.
I'm gonna tell you something. They're a poor joke. Children are listened to only when it helps the court to take a child from the parents. But if that same child says foster mother or foster dad is touching me or not feeding me or abusing me, or that if the juvenile center that I stayed at, they're doing things, no one listens to them.
Mm-mm.
Okay, no one listens to them when they cry for help. What I find also particularly troubling is that the U.S. continues, I mean the federal government continues to fund. We continue to give money to Division of Family Services and Child Protective Services and the foster care. Over $1 billion of taxpayer dollars is sent to these agencies every year that are hurting our children.
I try to tell that to people all the time. Your tax dollars are going to harming these children.
That's right.
But people don't understand. They don't get the federal funding.
Yeah, because that money could go to better education, better health care, child care, and proven programs that uplift women, children, and families. But one thing I will say to you here today, and that's why I told you in the beginning that I'm not here today as a campaigner for mayor of Kansas City. I'm here tonight for something that's bigger than mere politics. And this is what I want to put on everyone's mind. What happens when we get to the bottom of this and we find out that the rabbit hole is a lot deeper than what we think? What happens when we find out that all the things I've told you and all the things that mom and dads are telling us, there's more horrific things going on? I'm afraid that when we get to the bottom of this here, this rabbit hole goes much deeper than what any of us could think of. There's probably, that's what frightens me, Tamara, is that we're going to end up finding out that whatever we thought was horrible, that there's so many more horrors that are happening to our children who grow up and can't be the best mom or the best dad that they should be because the government has, used them to bankroll the city or state or whatever else in these agencies. But I'm committed as mayor, as the next mayor of Kansas City. I will fight this sort of corruption in government because it's got to stop. The swamp.
I'm going to be calling you a lot. I have a lot of cases going on right now. I mean, it's out of hand, and these government
it only takes one person.
Put the fear in these families, in these parents, and some people are running and hiding. I mean, some people are, they're afraid of incarceration. They're afraid of what they're doing, but they don't know what to do. I mean, we literally, as parents, are losing our rights.
Everywhere.
We're losing our rights.
And they're doing it. They're signing away parental rights without even parents being there. And I want the listeners to understand this here. But this is a promise that I promise right here today, right now, right here, that as mayor of Kansas City, if I'm elected mayor, for all those parents who are listening today, I will show we cannot bring this government entity down in a holistic manner. It's got to be taken apart piece by piece, and I'm going to do it in the heart of America. And I promise this here and now because I've read the state constitution of Missouri, and I urge the people who are listening, don't take my word for it, do your homework, read the constitution of the state of Missouri, and those who want to support me, read the charter of Kansas City, Missouri. As the mayor, if I become mayor of Kansas City, my number one priority is the protection of my residents. And if any resident comes to me and says someone's trying to harm me or my children, I will unleash the dogs of hell on them. Because every city Kansas City has a law department that has over 200 lawyers working for this city. And I will take and defend that family. We will get to the bottom of it. We will out these people. I would hold funds back until we find out. Because once you stop the money, Tamara, everything's going to stop.
Yep.
And the judges aren't, once we stop, it takes one person. And if not me, who? If not now, when? And if when I stop the money train and I have individuals investigated, because the system's not going to investigate itself. But as mayor, if I take a team of 200 attorneys and I say, okay, listen, John Doe came to me. I want you to take and defend this family. I want you to look into that caseworker, just the caseworker. I want you to look into the judge and what's going on with these people, dissect their lives. When that happens and those people break, they're going to tell us everything we need. This works.
So much happens behind chambers doors. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
No, but we are here in Pennsylvania. I mean, I might have to move to Kansas City if you get elected.
No, you won't have to.
I feel safe already.
Guess what? You won't have to. Guess what? I'll put it on Facebook or I'll put it on Google, just like everything else. You can learn how to make something by just looking, and that's what we're doing. We're sharing the information in the 21st century. And when I bring CPS down here, everyone will be able to duplicate it duplicate that everywhere they go. Because here's the reality.
That's what we're trying to do. We have the Kids for Cash scandal that went on in Pennsylvania, and I want to take that platform. My next area right now is the Chinn's program that they have in Atlanta. I really want to shake that. I really want to shake that down, because they are terrifying families up in Augusta, Georgia right now. So that's the next one. And if it works, I'm going to keep taking that platform and going from each county and each state to end it. CPS abolished, done.
That's good. Here's what I want to communicate, because I want your listeners to see that it's binary, that there's calculus to what I'm saying. Caseworkers, police officers, or law enforcement individuals, judges individually, they do not have the wherewithal or the means to protect themselves from an in-depth investigation. And the state doesn't, and the federal government doesn't give them money to just constantly defend themselves in court. So if we go against one caseworker, if we take and go after one judge, if we go after one law enforcement officer, any of these corrupt people, they're not going to have the funds to shield themselves, and they're going to begin to break. And when they break, then we'll be able to go after the bigger fish. There's a way of bringing this here machine down, but it has to be done in a smart manner. It's not going to be legally. It needs to be done politically, where first of all, we cut the funds, and then we go after people. Once the allegation's been made, we go after that individual, because that's what they do to us individually. Mm-hmm. When they say you haven't taken care of your children, they take the kids from you, and then they investigate and they do all this stuff. When we turn the tables on them, guess what? They will not be able to defend themselves. They will not be able to hold their heads up in public, in church, where they work at. Someone will break, and they will talk, because everyone talks. And the federal government will tell you, even the toughest, biggest, baddest criminals in the world, guess what? When the feds got on them, they all talk, they all snitch, they all squeal, they sing. And
they put the fear of God in them.
These people will sing too. And once they begin to sing, then we move in. And that's what we have to do. And once we've made an example out of one or two of them, trust me, things will change in America. Because right now,
we need this. I keep telling everyone we need to unite. I've united with other advocacy groups. And I think when we come in together and we come in strong, they have nowhere to run. And I want people to be afraid of us. I want them to know that we're investigating. I want them to know that we're coming after them. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of, for me, anyone that harms a child is not human. Not human.
And it's not about them anyway. It's not about them. It's about, saving the lives and the souls of these people. It's about the knowledge of the truth, setting everyone free. Because I know there's some parents who've made some mistakes. I know there's some children who are in these places, and I want you to know the Calvary is on the way. If you've got a drug problem, we can beat a drug problem. If you have an alcohol problem, we can beat these things. If you have anger issues, we can work around these things. We can fix these things. There's nothing that we can't fix as human beings. We can take and remedy all these things to make sure your children are where they need to be, with their mother and father, in an environment where you have two loving, competent parents, or competent, loving parents, with their children. So the Calvary's on its way. We've got to stop throwing these parents under the bus. I'm not going to do that as the mayor of Kansas City, because I know that we're stronger together, and that's the kind of future that I'm trying to build in the city of Kansas City. And we can't do it with broken moms and broken dads. We have programs that are effective to deal with alcoholism. There are programs that are effective to deal with drugs. There are programs that are effective with dealing with anger. So whatever excuse, a lame excuse that the government has been using for the last 50 years, it doesn't fly in today's world. In the 21st century, I won't buy it.
Yep.
CPS, Division of Family Services, they're corrupt and evil. There is nothing good, and I'm not going to rest until I've destroyed everything they have built. And that's what I'm running on. My platform, people can look me. The people who are listening or watching this today can Google my name. It's Roy, just like return on investment. My last name is Chinn, Chinn, like the chin, the person's chin, and support me in Kansas City. And the support I need, I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for word of mouth. I'm asking people to text someone they know in Missouri, text someone they know in Kansas, and say, hey, I know if you're in a situation you need help, vote for Chinn. We win with Roi Chinn for Kansas City mayor, and that's the change that's going to happen. They're going to have to fight for it. It's not free. I'm not doing anything free. I'm not a billionaire. Parents and organizations are going to have to get off their butts and take back their life, and to pretty much just demand that that our children belong with their parents.
Absolutely.
And,
I
and we're
support
not
everything you said, Roy. I didn't even think of this. Return on investment, that cracks me up for Roy, because that's how you spell Roy. But I did want to read here, because if I could model you and have a mayor like you in every single state to do this, that would be great. So build your platform, role model the good American citizen. But I do like your slogan. I'm going to read it here. Success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in other people's lives. And you just proved it by following that slogan, because this would make a difference in so many children's lives, so many parents' lives, to get their children back. And that's what we need. That's what we need. We're going to bring on the votes for you, Roy.
Well, that's good. It's just about time, and now's the time for us to do it. Families are suffering right now. Financially, there's hardships. We don't need to exacerbate that, having this emotional and heart-wrenching, and that's what's happening. I've met women here in Missouri, in Jeff City, literally crying, begging for their children. The status has come in and they've lied on fathers, they've lied on mothers, they've lied on families, they've skipped everything that they should do legally, they haven't done, and then there's no accountability. Zero.
No accountability. That is the key. No accountability.
No one's held to account. It's ridiculous, because we're not allowed to live like that. Why should we allow these career politicians to live that way? Why are they allowed to live this way? There are people right now who I know who are fighting CPS, and they haven't even followed the laws on the books. They've skipped over it. Judges are acting like they're emperors on the bench.
They wear a robe and they think they have the power. Anyway, Roy, we have 2 minutes left, so I wanted to just kind of wrap this up. I really enjoy talking to you, and I'm going to enjoy our partnership here. I will back you 100%. I'm going to make sure I get this video out into Kansas City.
Absolutely.
And I think you're doing a great job. And if we can band together and knock down CPS, the program is called Chinn's program.
Yes. It's when we do this here. It's not if. We've already joined, sister, and I would just ask anyone who watches this here to do their homework again and to look into organizations like Love Dominates and be a part of it. And that's the only way. We can't do this by ourselves, and we need people. And I want to thank you. I thank you, Miss Sweeney, because you're doing this, and the people who are doing this here. There's just too many. The victimization that's going on right now, the trafficking of children that's going on now, is unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. I'm not for it. I'm totally against it. So, and I'm going to do everything I can as mayor, because that's what mayors are supposed to do, protect their residents. And I'm going to start for people. thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm afraid you're going to get cut off, so I just wanted to say thank you, Roy Chinn in Kansas City for mayor.
That's
And
right.
thank you, Love Dominates.
All right. Thank you.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Sure.